Hey guys, welcome to another Friday. This video is mostly going to be about the Hunger Games, if you couldn't tell from the title, but I did want to respond to my fellow geeks really quickly first. Steph, I'm sorry you're starving, and I hope you get to eat soon. Coolio, I think you have initiated the let's all dress up as one of the My Little Ponies for one of our Geek Weeks. I'm gonna go ahead and call Applejack, because I was actually born in Alabama. Luluco, I totally agree with you on the cosplay nitpicking. So many people take cosplaying so seriously. And Mario, you think you can take me? I believe you're familiar with my Legolas daggers, but I'd like to show you a montage of all of my weaponry. Come at me, bro. I kid, you know I'd let you live. Until the end. And now that that love fest is over, I'd like to issue a formal spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen or read The Hunger Games. If you don't want spoilers for one or either or both, stop watching the video. Or skip to the end. Or put it on mute and create your own dialogue for what I'm saying. First and foremost, I do want to say I enjoyed the movie, but I am going to start with my cons. The list is small, and there wasn't anything that ruined the movie for me, but they do exist. Starting off small, I wish they would have flushed out Cinna's character a bit more. He's sort of Katniss's beacon of sanity in the craziness that is the capital once she gets there, and I think it would have been helped if they had actually introduced her other little hair and makeup people, because they were the typical capital twittery, oh my god, congratulations on being in the game, it's such a huge honor, you're gonna be great, ah! That Cinna just provided this stable ground for her, and I loved him for it. But it was a small detail that really wasn't necessary to tell the story. I just love him and wish they would have put a bit more of that in. And then something rather large were the mutts. In the book, they made the mutts have features of the fallen tributes, like their eyes and Foxface's hair color. And when I was reading it in the book, that part really messed with my head and sort of drove home how twisted and sick this world is that they were living in. And while giant mutts on their own are terrifying, just that added twist was just, Especially when she saw the one that looked like Rue, and it was just a final punch to the gut. Another kind of big thing was I wish they would have shown more of the aftermath of the games. In the books, they got to re-watch the video feed from the games in their entirety. Not that I would have wanted to sit through all of that again, but they showed Katniss that all of Peeta's actions allying with the careers was actually all to keep her safe by misleading them and actually helping her escape after the Tracker Jacker nest attack. Also, without the game Aftermath, I'm wondering how many people who haven't read the books actually thought Katniss was in love with Peeta now. Because in the book, she makes it very clear that while Peeta's actions were actually for love, hers were just to survive and play the game. Outside of the story, I did have two technical things that I didn't like. In the beginning, everything was on a super long lens, so it was zoomed in, and then it was handheld, so it was really shaky, and basically until the end of the reaping, I was about to get really nauseous. And then in the scene with Cinna and Katniss, where she's like, oh, you're here to make me beautiful, no, I'm here to get you noticed, they did something called crossing the axis, which I will explain. Generally in a scene where there are two characters talking to each other, there is an invisible line between them called the axis, and once you establish which side of the line that the camera starts on, you really shouldn't cross it. So by establishing that the camera is over Cinna's right shoulder, it should always be over his right shoulder, and it will always be over Katniss's left shoulder. Therefore, when you cut the two shots together, it actually looks like the characters are looking towards each other. And the only time the camera should logically jump over the axis and face the other direction is if something happens on the opposite side that the audience needs to see. Now, in the Hunger Games, they establish the camera over Cinna's right shoulder, and immediately jump to the left. Not that big of a deal, as they spend most of the conversation on this side of the axis. However, they suddenly jump, for no reason, onto the opposite side, and then back again. Now, I'm not sure if the general moviegoer populace is bothered by that, or how many people even noticed it, but it really bugged the film student half of my brain. And now for the positives, pretty much everything else. The acting was so great! When they first announced Lenny Kravitz as Cinna, it caught me a little off guard, but he did awesome. And Rue was adorable, Peeta was Peeta, Josh Hutcherson did a great job, and Jennifer Lawrence was phenomenal. So yeah, acting, awesome. I also liked that we actually got to see behind the games. I thought that was really cool and a really smart thing to do, because so much of the book is like intense thoughts and Katniss trying to figure out how she's gonna survive this and what the other characters' actions mean, that whereas movies are more visual, obviously, it's a movie. So by adding that extra little level and bringing us into the background of Seneca Crane and seeing more of President Snow's interaction was really cool. And speaking of Seneca Crane, his final scene was brilliant. I don't know if those who haven't read the book could tell that was his death scene, basically. Snow killed him for not keeping the games under control, basically. But in the books we never really find out how it happened. Snow confesses it to Katniss, and obviously everyone knows he's dead when he's not the game maker of the next games, but to use the Nightlock berries just sitting there in this perfect crystalline bowl that was just signature capital was fantastic. Also, the look of all the characters was fantastic. You know, Effie had to be my favorite just because she's so ridiculous, but everyone in the Capitol is, and in the book it describes people as gone, like, surgery crazy sometimes, where they've had some of their faces look like cats now, and a lot of them have dyed their skin different colors, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing some green people, but I understand how that might not translate well onto the film medium, so I do like what they did come up with. And the cornucopia! Not gonna lie, until the movie, I literally pictured a giant cornucopia, like the woven basket horn thing from Thanksgiving with the fruits pouring out, except, you know, obviously there was like backpack and weapons, but I legit pictured a giant woven basket. So I liked what they did in the movie. It still had the shape, but it was much cooler. So yeah, overall I think they translated the story really well, and mostly I am ecstatic that they didn't turn it into some massive Twilight love triangle thing, because honestly, with Hollywood the way it is, that's really what I was afraid of. And with all the Hunger Games talk, I wanted to give you guys a heads up that the Hillywood Hunger Games parody that I helped them with last Wednesday? I don't know, I think I mentioned it in my last video. It should be up and running soon. If it's up before I upload this video, I will put a fun little behind the scenes clip here, and if it's not, that was weird and awkward. And since it seems as though I've covered everything in my handy dandy notebook, I will see you guys next week. I want to say something, but it would be a total "that's what she said" moment.